You know, I could have sworn when Interstellar came out in 2014, it wasn't nearly as beloved. Back then it was all eye rolls at Brand's love speech and whining about Hans Zimmer's ear-shattering score. Salon said the dialogue was cringe. Forbes complained the characters were flat. The Guardian dismissed it as thematically shallow. But over a decade later, things have certainly changed. It's a regular fixture on greatest movies of all times lists, and the 10-year anniversary IMAX re-release absolutely crushed it at the box office. Films have a way of weaving their own legacy. Sometimes audiences need to catch up with the director's vision. Sometimes a movie needs time to marinate in our collective consciousness, and sometimes the world gets measurably shittier, and a movie about maintaining hope under the grimmest of circumstances hits harder than ever. Indeed, movies with impossible missions are quite common, but Interstellar takes the cake for featuring one of the only scenarios in cinema where saving the world is literally impossible, as in forbidden by physics. Cooper needs to transmit quantum data from inside a black hole, but once you pass the event horizon, nothing, not even light, can escape.
We can't get anything from it.
Nothing escapes that horizon, not even light.
And yet, humanity still finds a way. While it's tempting to dismiss the film's resolution as a deus ex machina, a plot device where a supernatural presence spontaneously breaks the rules and hands our heroes the W, it's not that at all. What Interstellar gives us, and why I think it's found its rightful place among the GOATs, is a kind of physics of hope, perhaps Nolan's most powerful statement about how we should approach the future. The conditions required to save the world or improve our lives may not exist, but we need to act anyway in order to have the chance to create them. Because what if the path forward only reveals itself once we've already arrived? Well, to unpack that, we'll have to break down one of the most important experiments in modern physics, talk about how it's inspired philosophers to think about freedom and meaning, and do a quantum reading of Professor Brand's favorite Dylan Thomas poem,
Do not go gentle into that good night.
Let's dive in. But first, a quick recap. The Earth is dying, a crop blight is choking out civilization, and former NASA pilot Cooper is forced into farming so one more generation can scrape by. When his daughter Murph claims a ghost is sending her gravitational messages, they follow its signals to a hidden NASA facility, where Coop's old mentor, Professor Brand, recruits him to pilot the Lazarus mission, mankind's last hope to find a new planet. There are two plans. Plan A, in which everyone on Earth boards a space station that transports them to the new planet, and Plan B, in which everyone on Earth dies, but humanity gets rebooted via frozen embryos. Problem is, Plan A requires quantum data from inside a black hole, data that's impossible to retrieve. Professor Brand secretly knows this, but lies to ensure the mission goes forward. Despite Murph's protest, Coop and the crew leave Earth to investigate 3 viable planets. The first one is a bust, and they lose decades to time dilation. The second, inhabited by the revered Dr. Mann, seems promising based on his transmissions, but Mann fabricated everything. Deranged and desperate after years alone, he betrays the crew and dies trying to escape. With fuel running out, Coop sacrifices himself and drops into the black hole so Dr. Brand can reach the third planet with the Plan B embryos. Inside the black hole, Coop finds himself inside a tesseract built by future humans that allows him to communicate with Murph across time using gravity. He realizes he was always Murph's ghost and encodes the quantum data needed for Plan A into a watch he gave her. Murph deciphers it, completes the equation, and humanity escapes Earth. Coop wakes up on the station and reunites with a now elderly Murph who tells him to seek out Brand, so he suits up and heads to the new planet where humanity's second chapter is being built. The end. Christopher Nolan sure loves himself a good noble lie, or a falsehood told to advance a higher moral purpose. These things are everywhere in his films. In Insomnia, Burr offers to throw away evidence of Dormer's guilt to preserve his legacy. In Memento, Lenny lies to himself about John G's identity to uphold a sense of purpose. In The Dark Knight, Batman lies about Harvey Dent's murder spree to maintain hope in Gotham. The Prestige basically casts magic as a noble lie necessary to enchant a bleak mechanical world, etc. Interstellar has got him too.
Hey, Tars, what's your honesty parameter?
90%.
90%.
Coop lies to Dr. Brand that he's coming with her to Edmund's planet so she'll fulfill Plan B.
You told me we had enough resources for both of us.
We agreed, Amelia. 90%.
But the big one is Professor Brand's lie that Plan A is possible. He claims he's working on an equation that will enable Earth's inhabitants to leave, but turns out he completed the equation a long time ago and it's impossible without the quantum data.
But he's been trying to solve the gravity equation for 40 years.
Amelia, your father solved his equation before I even left.
In his other films, the lies are required because the truth is too devastating, so it must be hidden in order for humans to act, well, nobly. And initially, Brand seems to be the same. If Coop and the crew knew Earth was doomed from the start, they never agreed to abandon their families. Hope must be manufactured because without it, altruism collapses, and Dr. Mann proves this.
How about man?
Dr. Mann, well, he's remarkable. He's the best of us.
When Coop and the crew discover the best of us has developed into a desperate, murderous coward, Nolan once again stages his bleak, realist view of human nature. When the chips are down, self-interest overwhelms principle.
You're feeling it, aren't you? The survival instinct. That's what drove me. It's what drives all of us.
His name, Man, all but announces his symbolic role. Therefore, Professor Brand's lie, like all the other Nolan Noble lies, is justified, right? Well, I think there's more to it because the lie that Plan A is possible is one that contains within it the hope that by telling it, it could eventually become true. This noble lie isn't noble only because it hides an unbearable reality, but because it aspires to create the conditions for a new reality, one in which a false statement retroactively becomes true. Because as it turns out, for quantum physicist John Wheeler, mentor of Kip Thorne who consulted on the science of Interstellar, this retroactive construction may just be how the universe actually works. In 1978, Wheeler proposed what's now known as the delayed choice experiment, an extension of the famous double slit experiment. The original experiment showed that photons can behave as either a wave or a particle depending on whether we observe them. Building off that insight, Wheeler asked, what if we wait to decide how to measure the photon until after it's already passed through the slits? The resulting experiment suggested that the photon seemingly decides which path it took in the past based on what we do in the present. Our classical understanding of reality is that the past causes the present, but Wheeler's experiment suggested that on a quantum level, the past isn't fully fixed. It exists as a range of possibilities that only solidifies into a definite history when we interact with it now. For Wheeler, this meant we aren't passive spectators of a pre-written universe. We are participants in a participatory universe, one in which reality itself is shaped through the information generated by our activity.
After the particle has decided whether it's going both routes or one route, and after it's got through, you yourself decide which it shall have done. You seem to intervene to change the past.
Importantly, this is not time travel. A good way to imagine this is through Wheeler's example of a game of 20 questions. A group picks a word, let's say dog, and one person asks yes or no questions. Does it have 4 legs? Does it woof? The word exists the entire time, waiting to be discovered. This is how we usually imagine the universe works. Things exist and we can discover them. The quantum version of this game is when the group doesn't pick a word at all. As the player asks questions, the group answers in a way that stays consistent and the range of possible answers shrinks until the player finally asks, is it a dog? Only then, after the group says yes, does the word come into existence. Crucially, that final answer retroactively determines the meaning of every previous response. All those earlier statements become things that were always about a dog. The act of asking created the history of the word. And philosophers have used this quantum logic as a foundational analog to understand how we interact with reality, how the meaning of an event is given retroactively. Think of it like a sentence. It's only when the last word is spoken that all the words prior are given meaning. Or the French Revolution. Nobody thought during the chaos and rioting, hey dudes, we're doing the French Revolution right now. It was only given that meaning afterward. The present reaches back and organizes the past. We can articulate this with the simple phrase, the destination dictates the journey, and Interstellar introduces this idea via a brief recollection.
After you kids came along, your mom, she said something to me I never quite understood. She said, now, we're just here to be memories for our kids. Once you're a parent, you're the ghost of your children's future.
Coop's late wife was articulating a kind of retroactive construction. Her existence as a mother isn't defined by what she is in the present, but by a future observation, the memories her children will one day hold of her. The destination of being supportive memories for her children dictates her journey as a mother. The same logic appears when Professor Brand tells Coop he was meant to pilot the Lazarus mission.
We need a pilot, and this is the mission that you were trained for.
Oh, without even knowing it? An hour ago, you didn't even know I was alive. I mean, you were going anyway.
We had no choice.
Coop's astronaut training was useless. The space program was canned and a world-class pilot was forced to farm for a dying world. But the moment Cooper walks in, Brand retroactively defines that pointless training as preparation for this mission. His training, the journey, only becomes meaningful retroactively once the destination, piloting the Lazarus, is revealed. Professor Brand frames it this way because he suspects that some kind of higher dimensional entities are guiding them.
But something sent you here. They chose you.
Well, who's they?
So, by interpreting the event retroactively, he's trying to grasp the intent of beings that experience time spatially, beings who see the future as clearly as the past, and for whom the future can act on the present just as easily as the past can.
They are beings of 5 dimensions. Right, to them, time might be another physical dimension. To them, the past might be a canyon that they can climb into, and the future, the mountain they can climb up, but to us, it's not, okay?
Therefore, if Cooper is here, it must be because the future needs him to be. Again, the destination dictates the journey. Then, when Coop enters the tesseract, we see the destination shaping the journey in the most literal sense. Now positioned at the endpoint of the loop, Coop realizes that the gravitational anomalies were always him communicating with Murph. Coop was always the ghost because the future required him to be. The end was always structuring the beginning. And once Murph grasps this, her entire past is reinterpreted. What once felt like abandonment is now her father's constant presence, watching over her, working to return and save her. With this, Brand's lie becomes true. The lie enables the journey, and the journey creates the conditions for something previously unimaginable, something that thrusts Plan A into the realm of the possible. The destination redeems the journey, and in doing so, redeems the lie. Through this logic, the often quoted Dylan Thomas poem, "Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night," takes on a unique meaning.
Rage! Rage against the dying of the light!
Wait, wrong movie.
Rage against the dying of the light.
Yeah, that's the one. Thomas's work is a plea to his dying father, urging him to resist death rather than give up and submit to it peacefully, like many on the dying earth seem to have done. Textbooks have been rewritten to stifle children's curiosities about the cosmos.
And if we don't want a repeat of the excess and wastefulness of the 20th century, then we need to teach our kids about this planet, not tales of leaving it.
And aspirations beyond farming are frowned upon, even though the extinction of human life on Earth is just a matter of time.
Well, we used to look up in the sky and wonder at our place in the stars. Now we just look down and worry about our place in the dirt.
Rather than just a call to defiance in the face of inevitable loss, Interstellar makes the poem more radical, even if there's zero hope. Only by raging, by taking action, can we possibly create the conditions by which hope can emerge retroactively. Twice in the film, we see defiant rages against hopelessness inadvertently lead to new solutions. One is when Coop goes into the black hole. It's physically impossible to survive, let alone transmit data outside of it, and yet only by crossing that boundary do new conditions appear. The tesseract, the fifth dimensional beings, and a form of communication that redefines what was ever possible. Intercut with this is the second one, Murph's struggle with her brother Tom back on Earth. She brings a doctor to convince him that his son will die if they don't leave the farm, but Tom insists on staying put and demands that Murph leave the house permanently.
Get out. Don't go back.
So she acts. She burns his crops to force an evacuation, giving her time to re-enter the bedroom, have her eureka moment, and decode Coop's message. Hope arrives after raging forward with action, an idea embedded into Murphy's very name.
Why did you and Mom name me after something that's bad?
Murphy's Law doesn't mean that something bad will happen. What it means is that whatever can happen will happen, and that sounded just fine with us.
Instead of the common interpretation of anything that can go wrong will go wrong, Coop reframes it to mean that we have the power to change the conditions of what can happen. If whatever can happen will happen, then our job, by raging forward, is to make survival one of the things that can happen, to face the impossible by expanding the range of what was once considered possible.
Murphy's Law. Whatever can happen will happen. Accident is the first building block of evolution.
And this is why Dr. Brand's love speech isn't the woo-woo critics said it was. If we're going to rage ahead without a path, we have to have something to guide us. I mean, neither I nor the movie are advocating for just doing random cowboy shit in hopes the future rewards blind audacity. Raging against the impossible still requires direction.
That's why I'm here. I'm gonna find a way to tell Murph, just like I found this moment.
How, Cooper?
Love, Tars, love.
If Professor Brand is right to treat our limited experience of time as a clue to some higher dimension of comprehension, then maybe we should approach love the same way, as a powerful signal whose meaning exceeds our current understanding.
Maybe it means something more, something we can't yet understand. Love is the one thing we're capable of perceiving that transcends dimensions of time and space.
Turns out Dr. Brand is right. Edmund's planet was in fact the habitable one, and it's ultimately Murph's bond with her father that leads her to examine the watch and decipher the data.
Cooper, what if she never came back for it?
She will.
How do you know?
Because I gave it to her.
Interstellar has become so retroactively beloved, not just for the effects, not just for the peak reconnaissance performance, but because it offers us a modern parable about hope, not grounded in woo, magic, or religion, but in the scientific imagination. One of the reasons philosophers are drawn to quantum theory is the radical freedom it implies. If the past straightforwardly causes the present, then the world is nothing but a chain of mechanical variables, and we are stuck simply acting out the conditions the world has imposed on us. But quantum logic suggests that not only is the future not yet finished, but the past, in a meaningful sense, isn't either. It means for our personal problems, we don't have to look back and ask, why did this happen to me? We can look forward and say, what will I make this mean? For our seemingly unsurmountable global issues, of which, Jesus, there are many, we don't have to wait for the perfect conditions to make things better. We can act to create them. We forge ahead, we rage, not because the path is hopeful, but because the path only forms after we have walked it. And that's why future humans placing Coop in the tesseract isn't a deus ex machina. Humanity wasn't magically saved. We save ourselves, and the only way we're gonna find out how is by doing it.
Don't you get it yet, Tars? They're not beings. They're us.
Hey, y'all, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, follow me on Letterboxd, hit me up on Instagram. All those links are below. I don't know what my next video is on yet, but you'll be sure that I'm going to be working on it soon. So I hope you guys are having a great winter. Take it easy. Peace.